Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 15, I think, of Elden Ring Lore Explained. We're here today with Ace and Typler.
Hello.
I feel like the episode number should be the first thing in your notes.
It probably should be, but it's not. I mean, I can just go look. I'm very confident we're on episode 15 right now because the last one was episode 14. So, yeah, there you go. Anywho, we're finally, pretty much, out of the territory of talking about just individual characters. I mean, we'll do it more in the future, but um, we were mostly focusing on talking about the demigods and various other people of similar significance. And now we're finally on to talking about groups, factions, races. And which better one to start with than one of the first, the ancient dragons? Now, in typical FromSoft fashion, it seems like the ancient dragons were one of the first races to come into existence in the world. They were around since time immemorial, prior to the existence of the Erd Tree. They're immortal, they have stone scales called gravel stone. Big Dark Souls stuff. I know some people think this is evidence of it having a shared universe. I think it's just Miyazaki comes up with an idea he really likes and he just kind of puts it in everything after that. The man likes the idea of stone dragons, so if he's going to have ancient dragons in another fantasy setting, they're going to be stone dragons.
Yeah, I didn't even realize at first that they were not looking like organic beings.
Yeah, although they bleed, don't they?
Maybe it's just the skin deep.
Maybe. I mean, they did say it's stone scales, though you don't get dragon
Maybe
hearts
they
from
just
them, which is interesting.
maybe they just really need some moisturizer.
That
That's
may
why
be
they're
the
so
case as
ancient.
well. Or
Which
perhaps something has changed.
from which dragon?
Oh, Band, what are you doing in here? We're recording an Elden Ring video.
Oh, I'm just, chilling. Checking up
Cool.
on my little gamer.
So which stone dragon were you talking about?
Just in general. The ancient
Aren't they
dragons.
all?
Yeah, like all the ancient dragons have stone scales.
What about the calcified ones? Is there a difference there?
You mean like the dead ones?
Nope.
I mean, they're not dead because you can kill them. You know, the big ones that drop like 5 hearts.
Oh, you mean Grail. That's their name, right? That one's
No.
that one's one of the more modern variants of dragons, the flying dragons. They don't have stone scales.
Do you know what calcified means?
Yes, I do. Calcified is like a process in which living materials, generally wood, ages and hardens over time via calcium deposits.
Exactly. It's a very literal name.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, good. You didn't look stupid or anything. It's very unfortunate when that happens. So,
Nice.
It's funny when fancy fantasy people use terms like that are scientific.
yeah, it is kind of humorous. So something interesting about the ancient dragons that I saw pointed out in a video talking about them is that they share pretty much all the features of the crucible, like the defining features of the crucible, which as we know is the primordial form of the Erd Tree. It was the melting pot of all life. Back in the crucible, all life was kind of mishmashed together and shared all of the same features. And the ancient dragons have all of the standout features that we have as the aspect of the crucible incantations. So, you know, they got horns, they have tails, they have breath attacks, they have wings. They've kind of got like all of the really big defining features of the crucible that the crucible knights use. So that's something very interesting to take into consideration. you know, that's what ancient life looked like. Wasn't necessarily like these weird fucked up chimeras like the Omen could be considered to be. It's just all of the features seem to be merged together in a way that's coherent.
Speaking of which, are the misbegotten considered omens?
No, apparently the misbegotten were cursed with their current state because of their quote-unquote encounter with the crucible. Like, the crucible's still a thing that you can find, I guess? Whatever that means.
I looked up what the word misbegotten actually means,
Mhm.
because it's not one I'd ever heard before.
Right.
It means badly designed, planned, or conceived, or just contemptible as like a abusive term.
Yeah, they are cursed and enslaved because of their
Or
curse. Well, no, they're not cursed because of their curse. They
illegitimate
are...
child.
Well, that's an interesting one. But they're apparently cursed and enslaved because of their actions, because of them looking into the crucible, and as such becoming afflicted with their features. Which is certainly interesting to say the least. So, back in ye olde prehistoric times, the ancient dragons ruled over the world. They seemingly built the city of Faramazula. I originally thought that was something the Beastmen built. Maybe they built it together, because they both live there. But it seems more so like that was the dragon city. Maybe the Beastmen built it and the dragons lived there. Like the Beastmen built them for... Yeah, it could be something like that. Because, you know, dragons are typically a thing of worship. So it wouldn't be strange if the Beastmen built the cities as sort of like an offering to the ancient dragons.
Or slavery.
Or slavery. Yeah, it could be that as well. And they lived in Faramazula, or, you know, they ruled Faramazula, ruled the world from Faramazula, and were ruled over by the Dragon Lord Placidusax and their god. So Placidusax was Elden Lord, meaning the Elden Beast had already come to the Lands Between and became the Elden Ring. Already.
But he's not one of the numbered Elden Lords.
Correct, because it's prehistory. And barely anyone knows about Placidusax. The guy lives outside of time.
No one cares about
Just-
drag. Fuck
Yeah.
the drag.
A little bit more reason to shit on Godfrey.
Nah, Godfrey's great. Why would you shit on Godfrey other than him being kind of a
The
psychopath?
first Elden Lord? Ha! I already beat the one that came before you.
the
He's like,
the
"This is all
zeroth Elden Lord.
Could you imagine that as the title?
God, that'd be so stupid. I don't know. I'm trying to think of synonyms. I can't think of any that sound good.
Synonyms for what?
Zeroth.
Oh. The primordial Elden Lord?
Maybe, I don't know. So, if he's Elden Lord, and being Elden Lord worked for the dragons the same way it does for, you know, Marika, then presumably Placidusax had a consort, and perhaps its consort was the god that fled? Maybe. I originally thought that the dragon god was some kind of outer god, because it kind of seems like most of the major races and factions have one of those. Or it could be whatever the dragon equivalent of an Empyrean is. Maybe. You know, if the god had to be host to the Elden Ring, but I suppose if it was possible for them to flee, then it means they weren't a host to it. I think it's probably a somewhat safe assumption that Living Thing's relationship with the Elden Ring was a bit different prior to the emergence of the Erd Tree. Especially because it seems like the Greater Will wasn't really much of a factor at that point.
So
Probably
it was.
older. Sorry, we both talked at once.
Okay,
go.
Typler, you go. Typler, you go first.
Okay. I was just going to say that. Do you think that the time shenanigans is done with a rune of the Elden Ring?
Not as far as I can tell. Maybe it is. Isn't it said like the ancient dragon smithing stones are even able to warp time just because of how powerful they are? I think it's just like the dragons were really strong that they could just kind of do anything.
All right.
Maybe control over the Elden Ring allowed for something like that, but I don't think that was necessarily like taking out specific runes or whatever. That's just them directing the power of the Elden Ring.
All right.
So once again, at some point, the dragon's god flees to go somewhere, and Placida Sax decides to just chill outside of time forever. Or however that works
Or-
when you're outside of time. Placida
Yeah, I
Sax
was gonna
is...
say, it might just be like a moment.
Yeah, maybe. Being outside of time is presumably very strange, because that would mean everything that ever happens is happening at the same time. Yet also not happening. Don't think too much on it. But he's very heavily injured, and it's not really clear why. Like, what exactly happened to him. Maybe it was degradation or something? Like, with time, but he's outside of time. Unless it happened before he went in there. Maybe he fought someone. Apparently a meteor
he
hit
certainly-
Faramazula at some point. Maybe he got partially hit by the meteor or something, but it seems weird that, like, only his outer heads would be affected by that. I don't know.
He certainly didn't fully heal while he was in there.
No, I imagine that's kind of hard to do when you're made of rock.
He's so fucked up, we can't even tell how many heads he's supposed to have.
Based on the talisman we get, I forget what it is, like what the name of it was, but we get it in the chest past where we fight Bernal. It has a depiction of a four-headed dragon, who is the Dragon Lord, so seems like
So he
Placidusax had
lost
four
half
heads.
of them?
Yeah.
For some reason, I just had a vision come to my mind of one of the heads being fucking Rykard's face on the snake. Together, we shall devour the very gods with my new best friend, Placidusix.
Yes.
Can the ancient dragons talk?
Yeah, it seems like they can, to an extent. I'll get into that in a moment. So, their god flees, Placidusax fucks off outside of time, but the dragons aren't hunted to extinction like they were in Dark Souls. They're just kind of there. They're just kind of present. But they're no longer the unchallenged rulers of the world anymore. They're just one of the major powers. Of course, the other major power coming into being was the Erd Tree and Marika and her kingdom. They're doing all of their business, and for some reason, some of the ancient dragons don't like that. Specifically, the absurdly huge ancient dragon Grandsax decides, I'm going to go attack these people. So Grandsax, with his gigantic spear, goes and just crashes into Leyndell. The only event in recorded history in which the inner walls of Leyndell were breached.
I thought you were going to
Because
say
he's-
his gigantic stack.
I hate you. He's just fucking huge. I mean, look at him. You can walk all over the guy. He's the size of some areas.
Oh boy.
So, like, literally, how would they defend against that, really? It's not a matter of, like, logistics or anything, or defensive formations like it usually is for, you know, defending a walled city. It's just, this thing is bigger than the fucking walls. It's an Attack on Titan situation.
You never know. Listen, you never know. You know those birds with blades on their feet?
Yeah.
You never. Or those guys who blow bubbles?
Ah, the, what are they called? The oracles?
Yeah, you can use one of those weapons.
I know, they're hilarious.
You know, they could defend. No.
I watched a video earlier today about some data mine leaks for the game, by the way.
Oh. Anything in that interesting in relation to the current topic at hand?
Well, Gideon mentions that the world will be okay as it is as long as Mikola doesn't wake up. And then we found out what the full model for what Mikola's fucked up form's supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's a weird, creepy adult.
It's like unfinished, though.
I could tell from looking at him that he's unfinished.
Looks like more
Like, if the actual model is unfinished, I'm like, yeah, I mean, the process isn't done. He hasn't woken up yet. He's not done metamorphosizing.
I mean, they didn't finish making the model because he just looks like a fucking mummy.
Why would they
without the
need
band.
to? He's
Well, they probably
unfinished,
will.
and will hopefully never be
sure you-
finished for the sake of the world.
I'm sure you also know about that thing that's already known about the middle of the map.
Yeah, we know it's just missing. Like, there's just nothing there.
It's
Quite
a big
curious.
cloud right in the middle of the towers and a big square pixel in the ocean.
Right, a big square pixel and nothing. It's like the one part of the map where there's just nothing there.
Seems like a boss arena size.
Well, anywho. Grand Sack's attack on Leyndell marks the beginning of the war with the Ancient Dragons. He dies in the process. It's not really clear how he died specifically. I imagine he was just so fucking huge that he couldn't really do anything in regards to defending himself in close quarters. So, Godwyn probably just came along and smacked him a bunch. Much like how we defeat the bosses much larger than us. And then the war with the Ancient Dragons happens. There's not too many details on it. Seems like basically Godwyn was the one that led the war on the side of Leyndell. And I'm pretty sure Fortisax was the one leading it on the dragon side after Grandsax died. Just because apparently Godwyn's defeat of Fortisax was what basically ended the war. But through combat, Godwyn and Fortisax developed respect and admiration for each other and ended up becoming friends, which is just delightful. Now, Fortisax has a sister named Lanciax, and
Really? I didn't know that one.
yeah, Lanciax is the one responsible for starting the Ancient Dragon cult in the capital. So, after the war with the Ancient Dragons and Grandsax's assault on Leyndell, a lot of the forces of the capital gained respect, admiration, obsession with dragons. Some of the tree sentinels came to the decision that if they really wanted to protect the Erd tree, they would have to take on the features of dragons just because of how strong they are. Like, the dragons actually posed a major threat to the Erd tree, so the only way to become strong enough to fully defend it would be to kind of take on some of that power themselves. Hence the draconic tree sentinels, who I hate. Oh, I love AoE attacks that eat half of my health bar. Woo!
Sentinels, not the avatars?
Nope, the sentinels. The guys on horses. You know the one that you fight right outside of
Oh, yeah, true,
Leyndell?
yeah.
And the one that you fight outside
There's
of
so many
Malekith's
people
boss
with-
room?
There's so many characters with tree in.
That's what happens when the center of the universe is a big tree.
Literally. Metaphorically.
Yeah. So Lanciax, I guess, playing upon some of the doubts and desires of the inhabitants of Leyndell, goes and disguises herself as a human priestess and founds the dragon cult, which then was responsible for training many of the knights and other people in lightning incantations. Like, all the lightning incantations are part of the dragon cult. We know Godwyn used quite a few of them, so Godwyn was kind of like Gwyn. Big surprise.
I have a question about
Yes.
that.
Mm-hmm.
During the war, is it possible that the dragons united with Leah Lucaria for some time? Or Rhea Lucaria?
Not that we're aware of, it seems like these were separate things. And the Liurnian War may have even been something that was happening way later.
I only ask because of that one dragon that has a glintstone sorcery breath.
Are you talking about Adula?
Is that their name?
Well, there's two. There's Smarag, which lives outside of Raya Lucaria. And apparently they became, like, infested with glintstone because they kept eating dead sorcerers. And then you have Adula, who is the dragon that hangs out around the Three Sisters and then goes up to the Moonlight Altar.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently they were also a devourer of sorcerers, but then they were bested by Rani and swore an oath to the Dark Moon. Well, that's cool.
Mm.
Yeah,
Alright.
but the flying dragons don't really have much of anything to do with the ancient dragons. Like they're
Have you heard about
explicitly
a
really
Dula
different.
Sibling?
Huh?
Have you heard about a Dula sibling?
No, who is that?
Oblongata.
I feel like this is a joke that I'm not getting.
Because you gotta know about brains.
Oh my god, I did not do that well in anatomy, okay? I did like okay, all things considered. I passed. Actually, no, I did like fine, but I'm pretty sure I did really bad on a lot of the tests.
I'm resisting the urge to make an anatomy joke now.
So the dragon cult teaches people lightning incantations. There's this rather specific incantation that was taught in the dragon cult. And this is the Dragon Bolt Blessing, in which the caster's entire body is enveloped in lightning. And this miracle was only given out to those loved by the dragons. You know, the people who were members of the dragon cult that the dragons really liked, they taught them these incantations. And I guess they were the only ones that were capable of surviving them. The one notable person we know of who used this incantation, or a variation of it, was the Dragon Spear Vyke, who is kind of an important guy that will probably get his own video in the future. For those of you not familiar, Vyke is... I could hear myself a little in your mic there, Typler.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, happens time to time. I don't know what causes it. Vyke was the Tarnished who came closest to becoming Elden Lord before us.
Oh yeah, he's in Volcano Manor.
No, that's Bernal. Another guy who almost became Elden Lord.
Oh wow, there's a bunch of them.
Vyke. The two most notable ones, as far as I can tell, are Vyke and Bernal. I'm not aware of any other ones that got particularly close. There will be more research to do in time.
The gym teachers of the Tarnished.
Right, of course. Vyke made it all the way to the mountaintops of the Giants, but then someone, Shabriri, convinced him to go become host to the Frenzied Flame so that his Finger Maiden wouldn't be burned up in the Flame of Ruin. But he didn't become a true host to the Flames because he didn't take his clothes off.
Are you kidding?
So, yeah, no, I mean, that seems to be the most explicit reason. His armor is burned and melted because of the three fingers grabbing it, but his actual player model doesn't have the burns. And when he invades us in Liurnia, near the Frenzied Flame village, there's a ghost talking about, oh, Vyke, you weren't our lord after all. Not our true lord of Frenzied Flame. Whoever could that be, they say, as we talk to them, maybe doing the Frenzied Flame ending. So instead he just went crazy. Because he got tricked by Shabriri. Because Shabriri's a dick. I killed that guy.
Is that really how his name is spelled?
Yep. Shabriri? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That guy's an asshole. He's a dick. We'll have to talk about Shiburi in the future. There will come a Chaos Week or whatever. Or not Chaos. Frenzy Week. There you go. A Frenzied Friday.
A Frenzied Friday. Can I just say though, real quick, can you imagine going through all that bullshit, getting to the catacombs of Leyndell, traveling through that fucking maze without looking up a guide or a tutorial, doing the stupid fucking parkour downwards, fighting Mog, if he was even there at the time, finding the secret passage, and then just not taking your clothes off?
That's so
Like,
fucking funny.
After all that shit?
God, that's hilarious.
It's also clear no matter how close that Burnhole and Vyke got, neither of them took any of the Great Runes, because we got
Well,
them
I
all.
don't know. It's weird because Ennius says, "Oh yeah." No, Gideon says if you want to become a true member of the Hold, you need to get a Great Rune. And then Ennius like, "Oh, I've only ever seen 2 people have Great Runes before." I don't know how the fuck that works.
Maybe they got killed and they took them back.
Maybe it's like with Dark Souls 1. It's like, how the fuck did Tarkus and his boys get to Sen's Fortress when, like, the Bell Gargoyles and Quelaag are still there, guarding their respective Bells of Awakening? I don't know. Don't think too much on it.
Are you able to just walk straight to the mountaintop of the giants?
What you need is the medallion to open the Lift of Rold, which Melina gives us.
Then how did Vyke get there?
Someone else gave him a medallion to get through the lift.
So he didn't have to get past Morgoth.
No, I guess they already knew about the thorns or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is one of the weirder parts of the lore that I don't really get. Like, it's just strange. And seems like a problem with the timeline. Like, it just doesn't make
really
logical sense.
So Fortisax is inside of Godwyn, like that one plot twist from Fairy Tale.
I suppose, yes. I don't know how he's in Godwyn's dream, but he is.
In the entire game, you can have a comedy segment where whatever's going on, you can just cut back to Godfrey doing like the Olympian like swimming and running and climbing.
Oh my
with, like,
god!
in the background. Meanwhile, you're just teleporting everywhere.
Oh, fuck.
I'm sure at least at one point he was like, Tharash, can I like ride you or something? You're a giant animal.
No. God, that's dumb. So anyway, Dragon Cult. That's a thing. Last thing of importance we should probably talk about a little bit is the flying dragons, the modern day dragons, the fleshier ones that are technically wyverns because they only have 2 legs.
Yeah, that bugged me.
Well, I mean, this is also the same thing that happens in Dark Souls, where you have the ancient dragons, which are 4-legged, and then the modern descendants of them don't have stone scales, only have 2 legs and wings, so they're actually wyverns. That's how they're lesser dragons.
How does the cult relate to the Church of Dragon Communion?
They seem to kind of be their own thing. Whereas the dragon cult was more so, I guess, in reverence to the dragons. The Church of the Dragon Communion seems to consist of people that are basically trying to become dragons or just take the power of dragons by eating their hearts, which you only get from the flying dragons or magma worms, who are people that got lost in the sauce, ate too many dragon hearts, and turned into a pseudo-dragon themselves.
Really?
Yeah, that's the lore for the magma worms. Is that when we meet Yura, he's by Agil Lake. He says, "Hey, don't go fight that thing. You're gonna die." If you beat it and then you go talk to him, he's like, "Wow, shit, good job. You know, right off the coast, there's a Church of Dragon Communion, but be careful. Those who steep into Dragon Communion are cursed and lose their humanity." And that occurs through them becoming magma worms.
Ending number 8 confirmed.
Oh, the age of the magma worm.
The age of the re-rising of the dragons, maybe.
So there, as far as I'm aware, there are two named great great worms. Or no, magma worms. Because there's magma worm Makar, who we fight in the mine along the cliff that we can use to get up to the Altus Plateau. And then the other one is Great Worm Theodorix, who you can fight in the consecrated snowfield. Who was also a guy that turned into a magma worm because of Dragon Communion. Yeah, not really too much. Oh wait, we have Theodorix's magma. Name of the ancient troll warrior Theodorix lives on as a hero of the war against the giants. Well, good thing I read that. And good thing we haven't recorded the fire giant video yet.
So, Fortisax became best friends with Godwyn. Plasudasax became a shut-in outside of time, floating in the sky.
Right.
Grandsax is dead.
Correct.
And, what about the huge one that people cheese early in the game to get 35 levels?
Oh, that's Grail. That's just a really big flying dragon. Or really big...
Oh.
A really big wyvern. It's like the
I figured
mother...
out what that side quest is, by the way.
Huh?
I figured out what his side quest is.
He has one?
Yeah, it's really late game, so most people didn't figure it out before they cheesed it.
What is it, killing each
Apparently-
individual dragon?
No, after you get all the great runes, and then you kill his 5 dragon minions, you can talk to him and he'll give you his tooth as a really great weapon.
You're full of fucking shit.
Oh, I'm not making it up. Someone who's beaten the game 6 times told me.
Elder Dragon Grail.
There are some things on the wiki that aren't on the wiki that are in the game. Like Edgar, if he invades you enough times, you just keep avoiding it, and eventually he'll invade you near the guy that killed his daughter.
I think your friend might be lying to you. Hold on.
I'm just saying there's some things in the game that aren't on the wiki yet. Well, it is a dragon tooth sword.
That's Dragon Scale Blade. Oh, you get that from the Dragonkin Soldier. Wow, I guess there actually is some reason to kill that fucking thing. Nah, I can't find anything about... I think your friend's trolling you. I think you're being deceived.
Well, I know the dragon scale sword is different. I don't know about...
When you
talking about
kill
it's a dragon.
Grail, you can get Grail's Roar from Church of Dragon Communion. Grail was the mother of all dragons, dwarfing all who stood before her like a looming mountain. Okay, so I was right. Presumably the mother of all the modern dragons.
What about the... I looked it up and I see the Dragon Greatclaw.
Hold on.
It's like a giant hammer.
Yeah, that's not it. But there's also a Dragon King's Cragblade.
That's what you get from Placidusax.
Oh, I did
Oh,
not
the
know
Dragon
that.
Great Claw is what you get from the Draconic Tree Sentinel. That's kind of funny and fucked up that you got trolled like that.
Well, we know he has to have a purpose, or she, I guess.
Originally
can't
Grail
just-
was supposed to be like a field boss or something. But then they just cut that, so instead it's just a big thing that you can get a bunch of dragon hearts from, and a shitload of souls.
It's like literally melded into the ground from being so fat.
Yeah, that's what happens. Well, I think that's pretty much all we have to say about the Ancient Dragons. I don't think we've got much else, do we?
I figured there'd be more.
No, actually, surprisingly little. We're going to have a lot more to talk about with the Fire Giants, which I'm very excited for. So yeah, with that, that's pretty much all for today's video. If you enjoyed, as always, please be sure to like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Elden Ring Lore Explained. If you enjoyed discussing Elden Ring with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have a link to that down in the description, and if you want to get early access to episodes of Elden Ring Lore Explained, you should go check out my Patreon. Early access is available from the $3 tier and up. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.